Be talking about Ark-On, and it's a big day because it is our final thoughts on the new character, our rating for him, what we see him in the future, and if he's any good or if he's not good in the current
zombie apocalypse.
What is up, guys and gals and guys? Space Unicorn here, bringing you some hot frag action. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about Ark-On, and it's a big day because it is our final thoughts on the new character, our rating for him, what we see him in the future, and if he's any good or if he's not good in the current meta. There's a lot of things we need to talk about with this card, so let's get into some gameplay because that's the only way I know how to do this. So I'm going to let the first one load up, and then after the first one, we will cut every time we end a match and get into the next match. So where do we want to even start with Ark-On, guys? So as you guys know, the first Ark-On event has concluded. It concluded this past weekend. And there's a lot of mixed feelings on Ark-On. And I understand why there's mixed feelings on him. Because of the fact that he seems inconsistent sometimes. Now, there are some very important things to note with Ark-On that really is going to tailor how you rate Ark-On as a player, if you see him as good, bad, or indifferent about him, you know? First thing that you gotta understand with Ark-On is he really is a precision character. He has a little bit of a splash radius, but not much of one. And honestly, he really can dish out the damage. I mean, level 9 versus level 9, this is a hard-hitting card. There really is no subsequent for damage output. I mean, 167, that's a 2-shot kill on pretty much everybody. It's just like, now granted, as higher level cards and higher level opponent cards go, you really need this card to kind of level up to keep that sense of power that he has. And I feel like that's a problem that people are doing with the card right now, is they're playing him against those higher level cards, and they're not seeing his potential as a higher level character himself. And I feel like people just don't quite understand that as of yet. I mean, honestly, 37 damage to the tower at level 9, that's pretty darn good. Now, his fire rate is a little slow. I will not deny that. I think everybody on planet Earth knows that. Now, the other thing that people don't understand is how to use his ultimate. His ult's really not hard to use. It does take some learning, but once you get it down and understand the circles of it, it's pretty easy to hit consistently, and it really can level an entire team. It's not an exaggeration. Now let's move into the problems with Ark-On here once we finish out this match against this opponent, and we will address. After that, we'll move into our official rating for the card as a whole. Anyways, I'll bring you guys right back once we get into our next match. Give me a minute. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Now, to grade Ark-On. So, after everything I just told you, you guys are probably going to think Ark-On is going to get a pretty low score. And honestly, I can understand where you would get that from. But is that what he deserves? So one of the things that I do that's different from whenever other character people review Ark-On, whenever they review a new card, is I look at a thing called ceiling. What is the ceiling on a card? Now, most people don't seem to understand this. Ceiling's not too difficult to understand. What ceiling means is what is the best. If this card is played perfectly, what is he going to be capable of? And that is what you call a ceiling. Ceilings can be very high or very low, depending on your card. A prime example of a very low ceiling... one second. Sorry. A prime example of a very low ceiling card is Dan. And the thing with Dan is he doesn't start high either. He's just low all around. A very, very low ceiling. Even when played perfectly, this card will struggle. That is Dan. Now, then there's other cards like Striker, who has a kind of an okay ceiling to start, but has a very, very high peak ceiling. What that means is whenever he is played perfectly, Cypher has a huge plus in his category. Certain cards have this. Now, that leads into Ark-On. What is Ark-On's ceiling? So Ark-On kind of has a really good starting point. He has high damage. He's low mobility, but infinite ammo makes up for the damage output difference that this card will experience. Slower fire rate, but has that damage numbers. Like I said, they're really, like I've said it a million times in videos before, there's no cure for 167 damage, whether you like it or not. No, your BB is not going to heal through that at level 9. I'm sorry, he's just not. Now, where does that lead us with Ark-On? To sum it up, Ark-On is a victim of a ceiling issue. He is a good card to start, and at level 9 and against level 9s, he will do well. But due to low ceiling, basically, I think if you play that card perfectly, his ceiling, his playstyle really doesn't change. I'm going to lower his grade. I'm going to say that this card sits at a low A, high B tier. While he is fantastic on the damage output, and I can definitely see use for him against other level 9 characters, he's going to struggle against higher level cards. Is he a bad card? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, guys. Don't kid yourself. Is he a great card? No. Is he a unique card? Yes. And because of that, I have Ark-On sitting at low A, high B tier on my category list. And as you guys remember, my categories go up to SS, and there's only a few characters that sit at that. So, Ark-On, I'm going to give you a low A. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and down there. And I will see you Legends next time. Alright guys, we are back. Now let's talk Ark-On's problems. First problem is his fire rate. It's just too slow. It's half the speed of Pocahontas. Now he does do really good damage, so you can't truly have it be too fast, but he needs a little bit more than what you're giving him right now to work with. And I think everybody would agree with me on that. Now, is this a game ender for this character? No. Does it hurt? Yes. Now, the second problem is actually with his ultimate ability. There's two problems with the ultimate ability. The first of which is it's inconsistent. Your aiming with it really isn't hard, but for some reason it doesn't get registration at a certain position and angle, even though the characters are in that spot on the tower, on the target, as you can see there. Now, the second problem with his ultimate is the 20-second cooldown is way too much. You nerfed his ultimate's damage, and that means you should have decreased the timer for how quick he can use the ult. This is something that I think almost everybody would agree upon, that he would benefit from having his ult timer be lower. It shouldn't be 20 seconds. I would say, honestly, make him like 14 seconds. I think 14 seconds would be a good median for this character. The way that he's designed and the way he plays would benefit from having a faster cooldown on his ultimate. Now, the third problem with this card is the AI is atrocious. The AI on this card is really bad. It's to the point where you have to actually play this card to get value out of him. That is something that you don't want to have to do, and it's the same reason people will leave him out of a team, because his AI is really bad. You're not going to see the AI go positive on this card. He's just not designed that way. Now, let's move into the positive things with Ark-On in our next match. Alrighty guys, we are into our next match. Let's talk positive for Ark-On. First positives for this card, and this one's going to sound pretty simple and honestly not much of a positive, but it really is. The character design on Ark-On is extremely good. The card is very, very well designed, and that's something I think people like to see. They love to see a card that is attractive to look at. This is one of those cards that looks good. It really does, and I mean that. Like, certain cards don't look good. Ark-On looks good. Now, the second thing that is really good about Ark-On is the fact his damage is really, really solid. There's no cure for the damage that he can put out in a single shot. Now, he benefits from being on the same level as the person he is shooting at. So what that means is, if you're facing cards that are level 13, I'm going to say level 12 plus, and your Ark-On's level 9, he's going to struggle. You want your cards to be around the same level with this particular character, and that's just to benefit him across the board. The card does best whenever the fight is on the same level. It's just that simple. But at the end of the day, 139 and 160 something to the head, that's no joke. That's serious damage coming out from a card. Now, in tournament play, this card may feel completely different because of how much damage he puts out. Like, at the end of the day, tournament play is done at level 9. You gotta remember that tournament play is level 9. It's not versus level 14s. It's against level 9s. I know that sounds a little weird, but what that means is your Ark-On is going to be the same level as the people he is facing. I've seen a lot of people review the character and be like, well, this card's not good. And then I'm looking and it's like, dude, you're facing level 13s and 14s with a level 10. Of course he's not going to do much anything, even if his damage is good. There's just too much of a level difference there. And if you can't see that, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. Now, that kind of leads into what is the next good thing about Ark-On. The next good thing about Ark-On, and this one's going to seem pretty simple and kind of silly, is he's unique. He doesn't feel like another card. He feels like Ark-On. And that's something that you can honestly say is like, well, dude, that's kind of cool. This card feels unique. And that's something Frag needs. Frag needs cards that feel different. And this card does that. Now, into our next match, we're going to give our final thoughts and our grade for Ark-On.